The clock reads 3:17 in the morning. You're lying in bed, eyes closed, body still, hovering in that strange space between waking and sleeping. Your breathing is slow. The house is silent. Everything feels normal. But then something changes. A sound, a presence, a sensation that makes your heart suddenly hammer against your ribs. And in that moment, you realize that the nightmare isn't happening in your dreams. It's happening right now, in the darkness of your own bedroom. What you are about to hear are 5 terrifying experiences that can happen to you in the middle of the night. These aren't ghost stories. These aren't legends. These are real phenomena, documented by science and experienced by millions of people around the world. The question isn't whether these things are real. The question is, will they happen to you tonight? Picture this. You wake up in the dead of night, your eyes open, and you're immediately, completely aware of your surroundings. You can see the familiar shapes of your bedroom furniture in the darkness. You can hear the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen, the distant sound of a car passing on the street outside. Everything is normal, except for one thing. You cannot move. Not your arms, not your legs, not even your fingers. It's as if an invisible weight is pressing down on your entire body, pinning you to the mattress. You try to scream, but your voice won't come. Your mouth won't open. Your lungs feel constricted, like someone is sitting on your chest. Panic floods through you as you struggle against this invisible force, but your body simply will not respond. And then you see it, a dark figure standing in the corner of your room, a shadow that shouldn't be there. It's humanoid in shape, but wrong somehow. Featureless, faceless, just a void in the shape of a person. And it's watching you. You can feel its gaze like ice water running down your spine. The shadow begins to move slowly, deliberately. It glides toward your bed with an unnatural smoothness that makes your skin crawl. Every instinct in your body screams at you to run, to fight, to do something, but you're completely paralyzed. The figure gets closer, until it's standing right beside your bed, looming over you. You can sense its presence, heavy and malevolent, pressing down on you. Some people report feeling hands around their throat. Others feel the mattress sink down as if something is climbing onto the bed. And through it all, you remain frozen, unable to move, unable to scream, unable to escape. This is sleep paralysis, and it happens to 1 in 5 people at some point in their lives. But here's what makes it truly terrifying. While your conscious mind is awake, parts of your brain are still dreaming. During normal REM sleep, your body becomes paralyzed to prevent you from acting out your dreams. But sometimes, this system malfunctions. You wake up before the paralysis wears off. Your mind is conscious, but your body is still locked in sleep mode. And because remnants of the dream state are still active in your brain, you hallucinate vivid, terrifying hallucinations that seem absolutely real. Research shows that around 75% of people who experience sleep paralysis also experience these hallucinations. And across cultures, across continents, across centuries, people report seeing the same things. Shadow figures, dark entities, the Hat Man, a tall silhouette wearing a wide-brimmed hat, is reported so frequently that researchers have given him a name. People who've never heard of him independently describe seeing the exact same figure standing in their doorway, watching them from the foot of their bed. Some describe him as evil, others say he just observes, silent and still. But almost everyone who sees him reports the same overwhelming sense of dread. Scientists explain this through neuroscience. Your brain's right hemisphere, which processes fear and spatial awareness, goes into overdrive. Your visual system, trying to make sense of the darkness and your panic state, takes shortcuts. It creates crude, shadow-like figures rather than detailed images because it requires less processing power. It's your brain being efficient at the worst possible time, the temporoparietal junction, which helps create your sense of self and body position. Malfunctions. This creates the sensation of a presence in the room, the feeling of being watched, even the perception of being touched. When this area is disrupted by electrical stimulation in lab settings, people report sensing a shadowy figure mimicking their movements, standing behind them. Your breathing becomes shallow. During REM sleep, when you wake up paralyzed, you become aware of this restricted breathing. Your brain interprets it as suffocation, as pressure on your chest. This feeds the hallucination, making you feel like something is sitting on you, crushing you, stealing your breath. In medieval Europe, they called it the old hag, a witch who sat on your chest and stole your breath while you slept. In Newfoundland, it's the old hag syndrome. In Japanese culture, it's kanashibari, being bound in metal. In Chinese culture, it's being pressed by a ghost. Across the Islamic world, it's attributed to the jinn, supernatural entities mentioned in the Quran that exist alongside humans in a parallel dimension, sometimes appearing as dark silhouettes. But knowing the science doesn't make the experience any less horrifying. When you're lying there, paralyzed, watching a dark figure approach your bed, all the scientific explanations in the world won't convince you that what you raise seeing isn't real. The terror is absolute. Time seems to stretch. Seconds feel like minutes. Minutes feel like hours. And you're trapped inside your own body, completely helpless. Have you ever woken up unable to move? Have you ever felt a presence in your room that you couldn't explain? Think about it. Tonight, when you turn off the lights and close your eyes, there's a chance, a very real chance, that you might wake up at 3 a.m, paralyzed, staring into the darkness of your bedroom, and the darkness might stare back. Sleep paralysis is more likely to occur if you sleep on your back, if you're sleep deprived, if you're stressed or anxious. It can be triggered by irregular sleep schedules, by taking naps during the day, by substance use. Some people experience it once and never again. Others suffer from it regularly, sometimes multiple times a week. And while it's not dangerous in itself, the psychological impact can be devastating. The fear of falling asleep, the anxiety that grips you every time you turn off the lights, the knowledge that tonight might be the night when you wake up to find yourself paralyzed, with something dark and terrible standing over you. Now, let's talk about something even stranger. Something that can jolt you awake in the middle of the night with your heart racing and your ears ringing. Imagine you're drifting off to sleep. Your body is relaxed. Your mind is starting to fade. And then, without warning, an explosion detonates inside your head. A massive, overwhelming bang that seems to come from inside your skull. It sounds like a bomb going off, like a gunshot fired inches from your ear, like a cymbal crashed directly against your temple. The noise is so loud, so sudden, so intense that you jolt awake, heart pounding, convinced that something in your house has exploded. Some people see a flash of light at the same moment, like lightning going off behind their eyes. Others feel a rush of electrical sensation, a tingling that races up their body and into their head. Your heart is hammering. Your breathing is rapid and shallow. You look around your bedroom, expecting to see damage, debris, something that would explain the thunderous noise you just heard. But there's nothing. The house is silent. Nothing has fallen. Nothing has broken. There was no explosion, except there was. You heard it. You felt it. It was real. This is exploding head syndrome, and it affects approximately 10% of people at some point in their lives. The name sounds almost comical, but there's nothing funny about the experience. It happens during the transition between wakefulness and sleep. Either as you're falling asleep or as you're waking up, your brain misfires. Neurons that should be shutting down for sleep suddenly fire all at once, creating a massive burst of activity in the parts of your brain that process sound and sensation. The result is a phantom noise so loud and so real that people often refuse to believe it didn't actually happen. They search their houses. They check the news for explosions or car crashes nearby. They ask their neighbors if they heard anything, because the sound is that convincing. People describe it in dozens of ways. A door slamming so hard it should have shattered. A shotgun blast. Thunder cracking directly overhead. A freight train roaring through the bedroom. The twang of a guitar string snapping. The crash of metal colliding with metal. Static, like a television turned to maximum volume. An electrical surge. A buzzing that builds to an unbearable crescendo before cutting off. The descriptions are as varied as the people who experience it, but the terror is universal. What makes exploding head syndrome particularly unsettling is its unpredictability. It can happen once and never again, or it can plague you for weeks, months, even years. Some people experience it every single night, jolting awake multiple times, their sleep shattered by these phantom explosions. The episodes come in clusters, appearing suddenly and then disappearing just as mysteriously. There's no way to predict when it will happen. No way to prevent it. You can't prepare for it because you're asleep when it strikes. One moment you're drifting peacefully toward unconsciousness, and the next moment you're rocketing back to awareness, drenched in sweat, convinced something catastrophic has just occurred. And here's what makes it worse. The condition is not well understood. It was first described in the 1800s, but even today, scientists aren't entirely sure what causes it. They have theories. Abnormal electrical activity in the brain, stress and anxiety triggering neural misfires, problems with the calcium channels in your neurons, issues with the neural populations that regulate the transition between sleeping and waking states. But theories aren't answers, and without answers, there's no effective treatment. Some medications have been tried with limited success. Antidepressants, calcium channel blockers, anti-seizure drugs. But these aren't cures. They're just attempts to quiet the misfiring neurons, to reduce the frequency of episodes. For many people, nothing works. They're left to simply endure it, night after night, never knowing when the next explosion will tear them from sleep. Think about what that does to you. The anticipation, the dread that builds as bedtime approaches. You lie down, close your eyes, and wait. Will it happen tonight? Will you be allowed to sleep peacefully? Or will your brain betray you again? Every time you start to drift off, there's a tiny part of your consciousness that remains on guard, waiting for the explosion. And that vigilance, the constant state of alert, makes it even harder to sleep. It creates a vicious cycle. Lack of sleep increases stress. Stress increases the likelihood of an episode. An episode disrupts your sleep further. And around it goes, night after night after night. Some researchers have found a connection between exploding head syndrome and other sleep disorders. It often occurs alongside sleep paralysis, alongside insomnia, alongside other parasomnias that disrupt the normal sleep cycle. If you've experienced one, you're more likely to experience the others. Imagine waking up paralyzed, seeing a shadow figure in your room, and then, as you finally break free from the paralysis and gasp for breath, an explosion detonates in your head, layer upon layer of terror, one nightmare compounding another. Ask yourself this: have you ever been jolted awake by a noise that no one else heard? Have you ever woken up convinced something terrible just happened, only to find everything perfectly normal? That strange bang you dismissed as a dream, that crash you convinced yourself came from outside, was it really nothing? Or was it your brain, misfiring in the darkness, creating sounds that only you could hear? Tonight, as you lie in bed, waiting for sleep to come, remember this. Your brain is an electrical organ, billions of neurons firing in precise patterns, creating the symphony of your consciousness. But sometimes, the orchestra gets its signals crossed. Sometimes, in the quiet darkness of the night, your neurons all fire at once. And when they do, the noise is deafening. But there's something even more insidious that can happen in the middle of the night. Something invisible, something odorless, something that can turn your own home into a death trap while you sleep. You go to bed feeling fine, maybe a little tired, maybe a slight headache, but nothing unusual, just another night. You fall asleep in your warm, comfortable home, completely unaware that the air around you is being poisoned. Hour by hour, breath by breath, an invisible killer is flooding your bedroom. Carbon monoxide, the silent killer. It has no color, no smell, no taste. It gives no warning. By the time you realize something is wrong, it might already be too late. Your furnace has a crack. Your water heater isn't venting properly. Your car is idling in the attached garage. Somewhere in your home, fuel is burning incompletely, and carbon monoxide is being released. It seeps through your house like a ghost, filling your bedroom while you sleep. You breathe it in, completely unaware. And with each breath, your blood becomes less able to carry oxygen. Carbon monoxide molecules attach to your hemoglobin, the protein in your red blood cells that normally carries oxygen throughout your body. But carbon monoxide binds to hemoglobin more than 200 times more effectively than oxygen does. It hijacks your blood, preventing it from delivering the oxygen your body needs to survive. Your cells begin to suffocate. Your brain, which requires massive amounts of oxygen to function, starts to malfunction first. You might wake up with a dull, throbbing headache. Your bedroom might feel like it's spinning. You might feel nauseous, confused, disoriented. But it's 3 in the morning. You're groggy. You think you're just tired or maybe coming down with the flu. So you close your eyes and try to go back to sleep. This is how people die. They mistake the symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning for ordinary illness. They stay in bed, trying to rest, breathing in more and more of the toxic gas with each passing minute. Their confusion deepens. Their coordination fails. They might try to get up, but find themselves unable to walk straight, stumbling, falling. And as the carbon monoxide levels in their blood continue to rise, they slip into unconsciousness. From unconsciousness to coma, from coma to death, all while lying in their own bed, in their own home, surrounded by their own things. But here's where it gets truly terrifying. Carbon monoxide doesn't just kill you. Before it kills you, it can make you see things. Hallucinations, delusions, a sense that someone else is in the room with you. There's a famous case from the early 20th century. A woman named Mrs. H lived in a house she believed to be haunted. She reported feeling like someone was watching her. At night, she would feel the bedclothes being jerked off her body. She felt as if she'd been struck on the shoulder. One night, she woke up and saw, sitting on the foot of her bed, a man and a woman. The woman was young, dark, slight, wearing a large picture hat. MRSH was paralyzed and could not move. She was convinced her house was infested with ghosts. But then her brother-in-law, who had heard of similar cases, suggested they check for combustion gases. It turned out the furnace was leaking carbon monoxide into the home. Everything Mrs. H had experienced, all the apparitions, all the strange sensations, all the paralysis, it was caused by carbon monoxide poisoning. The gas was affecting her brain, creating hallucinations, causing confusion, making her believe in ghosts when she was actually being slowly poisoned. Think about the implications of this. How many hauntings throughout history were actually carbon monoxide leaks? How many people reported seeing spirits, feeling presences, experiencing supernatural phenomena when they were actually suffering from toxic gas exposure? Old houses, with their ancient furnaces and poor ventilation, would have been perfect environments for carbon monoxide to accumulate, and the people living in those houses would have had no way to detect it, no way to know that the ghost in their bedroom was actually invisible poison in the air. Even today, with all our modern technology and awareness, carbon monoxide poisoning kills more than 400 people in the United States every year. Thousands more are hospitalized, and many more experience low-level chronic exposure, suffering from persistent headaches, fatigue, confusion, memory problems, without ever realizing that their home is slowly poisoning them. The worst part is how it can affect everyone in a household. Simultaneously, everyone goes to sleep feeling normal. By morning, everyone wakes up with headaches, nausea, dizziness. The family assumes they've all caught the same flu bug. They don't realize they're all being poisoned. There are stories of entire families found dead in their beds, all killed by carbon monoxide from a faulty furnace. They went to sleep and simply never woke up. Some people survive severe carbon monoxide poisoning only to discover that the effects linger for weeks, months, even years afterward. Delayed neurological symptoms can appear weeks after the acute poisoning event. Memory loss, difficulty concentrating, movement disorders, depression, psychosis, changes to personality. Your brain, starved of oxygen during the poisoning event, suffers damage that doesn't become apparent until later. Survivors describe feeling like they're not themselves anymore. like something fundamental has changed inside their head, and they can't undo it. The damage is done. Here's what you need to ask yourself. When was the last time you checked your carbon monoxide detector? Do you even have one? Is it working? When was your furnace last inspected? Your water heater? Your stove? Are there any cracks in the heat exchanger? Any problems with the ventilation? Do you let your car warm up in the garage, even with the door open? Do you use a generator during power outages? Where do you keep it? How far from your windows? Because carbon monoxide is patient. It doesn't rush. It doesn't announce itself. It just slowly, quietly, invisibly fills your home. And while you sleep, while you dream, while you trust that you're safe in your own bed, it's stealing the oxygen from your blood, cell by cell, breath by breath. You might wake up in time. You might recognize the symptoms and get to fresh air before it's too late. Or you might not. You might just feel tired, lie back down, close your eyes, and drift away permanently. Tonight, as you sleep, as you trust that the air you're breathing is safe, remember this. Roughly 600 people die from non-fire-related carbon monoxide poisoning in the United States every year. That's 1 to 2 people per day, and most of those deaths happen during the winter, when people are running heaters and furnaces, when homes are sealed tight against the cold, when ventilation is reduced, when you're most likely to be asleep in a closed bedroom, breathing recycled air, the air that might be killing you. But perhaps the most primal fear, the one that reaches deepest into our evolutionary psychology, is the fear of an intruder. The fear that something or someone has entered the space where you should be safest. It's 2 a.m. You're alone in your house. Your family is away. Or maybe you live by yourself. You're asleep in your bed, vulnerable, unaware. And then you hear it, a sound that doesn't belong. A creak of a floorboard. The soft click of a door. Footsteps where there should be no footsteps. Your eyes snap open. Your body floods with adrenaline. You lie perfectly still, listening with every fiber of your being, trying to convince yourself it was nothing. The house settling, a car outside, your imagination. But then you hear it again, closer this time. Someone is in your house. Someone is moving through your home while you lie helpless in your bed. Do you have time to call for help? Do you have time to escape? Is there a weapon nearby, a phone? Is your bedroom door locked? Can you lock it from the inside? All these thoughts race through your mind in the span of a heartbeat, and underneath all of them is the fundamental question. What do they want? Are they here to steal? Are they here for something worse? This is not a rare occurrence. This is not an unlikely scenario. Home invasions happen every single day, and the most terrifying ones, the ones that haunt the survivors for the rest of their lives, are the ones that happen while people are sleeping. There's something particularly violating about it. Your home is supposed to be your sanctuary. Your bedroom is supposed to be your private space. Sleep is supposed to be your time of rest and recovery. But when an intruder enters while you're asleep, all of that is shattered. The illusion of safety is destroyed. You realize, in the most visceral way possible, that you are vulnerable. That bad things can happen to you. That monsters don't always stay in stories. Sometimes they pick your lock and walk through your front door at 2 a.m. Real people have experienced this. A family goes to sleep only to wake up to the sound of shattering glass, of their front door being kicked in. They hear voices, multiple intruders moving through their house. The parents have seconds to decide what to do. Hide, fight, protect the children. What if the intruders are armed? What if they're not here to steal but to hurt? A woman wakes up to find someone standing over her bed, watching her sleep. She doesn't move, doesn't scream, plays dead, hoping they'll think she's still asleep and leave. She feels the mattress shift as they sit down beside her. She can hear them breathing. Minutes pass like hours until finally, they stand up and walk away. She waits until she hears them leave the house before she moves, before she calls the police, before she breaks down. She never feels safe in that house again. She can never sleep in that bed again without remembering the weight of the intruder sitting beside her, watching her in the darkness. A man comes home late from work to find his house in disarray. Things are moved, disturbed, and then he finds them. Kitchen knives, taken from his knife block, placed deliberately in each bedroom, one on each bed. The intruders had been in his home. They had gone into every bedroom. They had left weapons as a message. We were here. We could have hurt you. We might come back. The police confirmed that the placement of the knives was intentional, that if anyone had been home, the intruders were prepared to use them. That family moved out. They couldn't stay in a house that had been so thoroughly violated. In some cases, intruders don't just break in and leave. They linger. They explore. They touch your things. They go through your belongings. Security cameras have caught intruders standing over sleeping children, leaning down close to their faces. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? What would they have done if the child had woken up? Some intruders take photographs. They use the victim's own camera or phone to take pictures of themselves in the house, pictures of the sleeping occupants. They leave the photos behind, deliberately, as a calling card, as proof that they were there, as a threat. We can get in. We can reach you. You're not safe. There are cases where intruders have entered homes repeatedly, night after night, becoming bolder each time, moving things around, leaving signs of their presence, creating psychological terror even when they don't take anything, even when they don't physically harm anyone. The violation alone is enough to destroy a person's sense of security. And here's what makes this even more terrifying. Most break-ins are crimes of opportunity, yes, but some are targeted. Some intruders choose a specific house, a specific victim. They watch. They learn your schedule. They know when you leave for work, when you come home, when you go to sleep. They know you live alone. They know you don't have a dog. They know which window is easiest to open, which door has the weakest lock. And when they finally make their move, it's not random. It's calculated. It's planned. They know exactly what they're doing and exactly who they're doing it to. Think about the fact that your routine is visible. People can see when your lights go on and off. They can see when you arrive home from work. They can see when you're alone. Your daily patterns, the things you do without thinking, create a map that someone with malicious intent can follow. And you might never know they're watching until the night they decide to act. Ask yourself, how secure is your home really? Are your doors solid or hollow core? Are your locks quality deadbolts or cheap builder-grade knobs? Do your windows have locks that actually work? Do you have motion sensor lights outside? A security system? Cameras? Do you keep your bedroom door locked at night? Do you have a plan for what you would do if you heard someone in your house? Most people don't think about these things until it's too late. Until they're lying in bed at 2 in the morning, listening to footsteps that shouldn't exist, feeling their heart trying to pound its way out of their chest, wondering if this is the night their worst nightmare becomes reality. Home invasion survivors talk about the long-term effects, the hypervigilance, the inability to sleep without checking every lock multiple times, the panic attacks triggered by unexpected noises, the way a peaceful night's sleep becomes an impossibility because your brain won't let you relax, won't let you be vulnerable, won't trust that you're safe. Some people move. They can't stay in the house where it happened, but others report that moving doesn't help because the fear isn't tied to a specific location anymore. It's tied to the act of sleeping, the act of being home alone, the knowledge that it can happen anywhere. Your new house is no safer than your old one if someone wants to get in badly enough. The psychological damage can last for years, even decades. Children who experience home invasions while they were young grow into adults, who can't sleep with the lights off, who keep weapons by their bed, who wake up at every sound, convinced someone is breaking in. The trauma becomes wired into their nervous system, a permanent state of alert that exhausts them but won't turn off. Here's the reality. Tonight, somewhere, someone will fall asleep in their own bed, in their own home, believing they're safe. And sometime in the dark hours before dawn, they'll be awakened by the sound of their security being shattered. An intruder will enter their space, violate their sanctuary, steal their sense of safety. It happens every night to different people in different places. The statistics are real. The danger is real. The question is, will it happen to you? So we've covered 5 terrifying things that can happen to you in the middle of the night. Sleep paralysis, where you wake up frozen in your own body while shadow figures loom over you. Exploding head syndrome, where your brain creates phantom explosions that jolt you from sleep with your heart racing. Carbon monoxide poisoning, an invisible killer that can turn your safe home into a death trap while you dream. And home invasion, the primal fear of someone entering your sanctuary while you're at your most vulnerable. But here's what makes these even more disturbing. They can happen together. You could experience sleep paralysis while carbon monoxide is slowly poisoning you. The hallucinations from both conditions combining into a nightmare so vivid, you can't tell what's real. You could wake up to the phantom explosion of exploding head syndrome at the exact moment an intruder opens your bedroom door. You could be paralyzed, unable to move or scream, while a real person, not a shadow figure, stands over your bed. The boundaries between these experiences can blur. Is that figure you see during sleep paralysis real or a hallucination? Is the crash you heard exploding head syndrome or someone breaking in? Is the confusion you're feeling from lack of sleep or from carbon monoxide exposure? When you're jolted awake at 3 in the morning, disoriented and afraid, how do you tell the difference between genuine danger and your brain misfiring? The night is not safe. We like to pretend it is. We turn off the lights, close our eyes, and trust that morning will come. We trust that we'll wake up unharmed, that our homes will protect us, that our bodies will function normally. But that trust is built on a foundation of probability, not certainty. Most nights, nothing bad happens. Most nights, you sleep peacefully and wake up refreshed. But some nights are different. Some nights, the unlikely becomes likely. The rare becomes real. And on those nights, the darkness holds genuine terror. Scientists can explain sleep paralysis and exploding head syndrome. They can measure carbon monoxide levels and arrest home intruders. They can categorize these experiences, study them, understand their mechanisms. But understanding doesn't eliminate the fear. Knowing why you lay paralyzed does make the shadow figure any less terrifying when you see it standing in your room, knowing that the explosion isn't your head doesn't make your heart beat any slower when you lay jolted awake by the phantom sound. Knowing that carbon monoxide is odorless doesn't help you detect it before it's too late. Knowing that home invasions happen to other people doesn't protect you when it happens to you. So tonight, when you go to bed, when you turn off the lights and close your eyes, remember what you've learned. Remember that 1 in 5 people will experience sleep paralysis. Remember that 10% of people suffer from exploding head syndrome. Remember that carbon monoxide detectors need to be tested regularly and replaced every 5 to 7 years. Remember that home invasions can happen to anyone in any neighborhood at any time. Check your locks, test your detectors, keep your phone nearby, and when you lie there in the darkness, waiting for sleep to come, listen to the sounds of your house. The creaks and settles, the hums and clicks, the silence between heartbeats. Is that sound normal? Is that shadow in the corner the same shape it was a moment ago? Is the air you're breathing safe? Are you alone? These are the questions that will follow you into sleep, that will color your dreams, that will wake you at odd hours, heart pounding, eyes straining against the darkness, wondering if tonight is the night when something goes wrong. Because it can happen to you. It has happened to millions of people before you, and it will happen to millions after you. The night is patient. The night is dangerous. The night is waiting. And sooner or later, when you least expect it, when your guard is finally down, the night will show you exactly how vulnerable you really are. Sleep well, if you can.